Hi, I'm David Essel. Well, guess what? It's time to radically change your life. I'm sure by now you've had a chance to look at the 3 free training videos on our website. You've gone ahead, you've signed up for the class, you've got the videos coming at you like the one you're seeing right now, and as importantly, if not more importantly, you've got to have your workbook ready. Now, some people just follow through online, but we highly recommend that you print it out and write. Writing is crucial to any and all life changes. I'm going to take you through this course step by step, and I'm so excited because there is just one thing in your life right now that if you attack it, that if you go after it, your life will be radically changed. For some people, it's making more money. For someone else, it's getting sober. For someone else, it's finding God. Another person may find out that their one thing is letting go of a resentment against someone in their past. Someone else may find out that their one thing, it's all about changing careers. Or maybe it's forgiving someone. Maybe it's forgiving your partner or a child or a family member or a former partner. There's all kinds of directions this is going to go. You're going to find your one thing, and I'm going to ask you to trust the process. So let's get started. At the end of this program, you commit 90 days, 5 days a week, as you heard on the training videos. You commit that amount of time, your life will begin to rock and roll. 6 months from now, you're going to be a totally different person. A year from now, no one's going to recognize you. That's a good thing, because that's what we want. Grab your paper. Let's go. Question number 1. Now, you're going to have to write all the time here. That's part of the process. So go ahead and look at your question. Why are you here taking this course today? What would you like to accomplish, to achieve? As you answer that question, don't overthink it. Just write right now. As you answer that question, I'm going to continue to talk for a moment here. It is so important to get focused, to get organized, to create goals, and then a step-by-step process. But we have to start right here. Why are you here? What do you want to accomplish? Now, here's a surprise. 75% of people, when they write down this goal right here and they go through this system that we're going to take you through, they find out that what they initially wrote wasn't the one thing at all. Isn't that fascinating? But go ahead and write what you think it is today. 25% of people, they're dead on. What they write in that category is exactly what they need to work on. Let's go to number 2. Why is now the time, read with me, that you are truly ready to change your life? Answer that question right now. Sometimes people say, I'm really tired of my old life, or I just have to have something to be passionate about. Why are you ready? Why is today the day? Why is now the time that you're ready to radically change your life? Write it down right now. I'm going to continue to talk through this whole program. You can always go back on your own time and fill in these questions in more detail, which I highly recommend you do anyway. Even if you were taking this as a weekend course with me, I always recommend when people go home from the course that they rewrite their answers. So don't worry, we do this very quickly because we don't want the conscious and the subconscious getting screwed up. In other words, let me tell you what I mean by that. The conscious mind oftentimes tries to direct us to write down the correct answer. You know, like the answer that if someone were to read this, they would look at and go, oh, that's a good boy, that's a good girl. The subconscious is what we want to react here, and that's why we do these questions quickly. It's like, don't think, just write. Let your intuition, your intuitive side come up and give you the answers to these questions. Let's go on to question 3. Why traditional goal setting programs don't work? And why do you think that is? Like if I'm looking around right now and I say, I've gone through so many goal setting programs, the pie chart. Have you ever gone through that? I'll tell you what I mean. The quadrant theory. Have you ever gone through that? I'll share that too. Why don't they work? I'm going to give you the answer to this one. Don't rack your brain. So let me tell you about those 2 different goal-setting theories. The quadrant theory says, put your life in a box, square it out. So you have 4 different areas. Many times they break it down into relationships in one area, career in another, health in another, spirituality in another. Okay, so it's a little box here and you've got these 4 different areas. Now what happens is that any great coach or a mentor will say, now pick a little bit of each area to work on every day. So put a little bit of time into God, a little bit of time into love, a little bit of time into money, a little bit of time into your body, so that you have this whole thing going down. It'll never work. It's never worked in the past. It's not going to work now. Do you know why? It's the same thing with the pie theory. The pie chart says instead of 4 categories in life, pick 6. So you divide your life up into 6 categories. And then someone will take you through that type of a system and say, now, put a little bit into health, a little bit into finances, a little bit into career, a little bit into spirituality, a little bit in a relationship with yourself, a little bit in a relationship with others, right? And at the end of the day, it doesn't work either. Why these programs don't work? It's pretty simple. When you have more than one goal that you're going at a time, you have what's called the diversion process taking place. And what that means is, as soon as you start going towards God, and God doesn't answer your prayers quick enough, you're going to go, you know, it's not about getting closer to God, it's about making more money. So then you go on this path to make more money, and you put in 30, 60, 90 days, and at the end of that time you go, God, I'm not seeing any changes. It's not about money. You know what it's about? It's about changing my body. I need to lose weight. So then you start going into the gym, and you're going to go lose weight, right? And at 30 days, you're going, this is crazy. I'm here 5 days a week. I've lost 2 pounds. That's not worth it. Oh, my God. It's about love. Do you see what I'm saying? So traditional goal-setting programs don't work, which is why the one thing theory that you know a little bit about from our free training videos is so crucial to follow. I'm going to ask you right now, even though this might seem like a tough thing, throw out the quadrant theory, throw out the pie theory, throw out all that stuff. Trust us. When you find the one thing that'll radically change your life and you put all of your energy into it, and when you feel tempted to say, oh, you know what, I picked this one thing and it's about forgiving my father, forgiving my mother, it's about forgiving a former partner who abused me, and you start doing the work and it gets hard, you're going to want to divert to another goal. But with our program, you're not going to have another goal. And that's why we're so successful. Someone who wants to lose weight, oftentimes they'll go 30, 60 days, 90 days. Just like I said a minute ago, they're not seeing the results. So what do? They change to another goal. But let me tell you, with the one thing theory, that's not possible. You're going to stay on path. And that's why in 90 days, you're going to start to see a breakthrough. You know, people that I've worked with that wanted to get sober, it's the same thing. When they put in 5 days or more per week into getting sober, and they don't change their mind for 90 days, the odds and the chances of staying sober for life increase dramatically. I'm so glad you're here today, because I want you to take advantage of something that millions of people have since 1996. And that is when we started this process. And that's when we threw out the quadrant and the pie theories and all those kind of things and got focused. Let's go to the next question. The biggest problems that come from setting multiple goals at the same time, and I want you to think about New Year's Eve resolutions. This is a continuation of what we're talking about, and I want to make this so clear that you never go after multiple goals again. Okay? I want this so clear. What happens on New Year's Eve? People say they're going to lose money, quit smoking, quit drinking, find deep love, save the relationship they're in. They're going to change careers. They're going to open their own business. They're going to do all these kind of things. 12 months later, they're in the same identical situation. Nothing has changed. I'm going to emphasize this whole thing about throwing out multiple goals in many different ways today because, you know, to be honest with you, most of us since the beginning of time, we've been told to try to balance our life, to try to go after life balance, to juggle, right? Like we're going to put some time into God every day and a little bit into health and a little bit into relationships, and we're going to really rattle your brain with this one thing theory because we're saying that's all nonsense. It's never worked. Do you know right now that 70% of the United States of America is overweight or obese? 70%. That's incredible. Why is it? It's because we haven't found a process, a goal-setting process like the one you're going to go through today that encourages you to stay strong, stay focused, stay passionate, live boldly, stay on path. Everything else is saying, do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's like later on in the show, I'm going to tell you about the whole thing with baby steps. Baby steps are nonsense. Baby steps don't work. I'll tell you more later. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Oh my God! Do you know what it is? The very next one. Look at your sheet. Why baby steps don't work. Is that amazing? Oh yeah, that's right. I put this program together. Okay, here we go. Baby steps don't work because why? The answer to this might surprise you. The effort put out to accomplish a baby step and the reward that you'll get from going after that baby step are negligible in life. In other words, if you put a little bit of effort out to get in shape, the reward is going to be a little bit, and it's going to take a long time for you to get what you want out of life. But if you put a lot of effort into really getting into shape, the reward is going to come much quicker, which is why we say throw the baby steps out the window. Don't even fool with them. And I know this goes against traditional thinking. Well, David, something is better than nothing, right? And the answer is no. No. Many times the baby steps aren't better than nothing, because what happens is the reward you get at the end of 30 days for putting in 15 minutes a day to do some kind of contraption at home are so small that you lose interest. And at the end of 30 or 60 days, you go, screw this weight loss stuff. Well, why is that? Well, if you put in such a little baby step of 15 minutes a day, it's going to take years for that to show in weight loss. We'll get into all this more later, because if weight loss is your goal or getting sober is your goal, it's like, let me give you an example with baby steps with sobriety. Now, I've been working in the world of addiction recovery for 20 years, and someone will come into me, just like I did when I didn't want to really get sober. Someone will come in and go, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm only going to drink weekends. Or they'll say, I'm only going to drink wine. I'm not going to drink hard liquor anymore. See, those are baby steps, and they're rationalization to doing the work. With the one thing theory, and don't worry, I'm going to help you figure out your program and set it up. With the one thing theory, we say, throw out the baby steps. Let's get serious, because in 90 days, I want you to feel amazingly healthy. I want you to see your income increasing. I want you to see your relationship improving. I want you to see in 90 days things that people don't see in years of traditional goal setting. But that means you're going to have to put effort in, and that's okay. For the first time, you're going to have a system to follow that's going to help you get what you want out of life in the shortest period of time necessary. Got it? Let's go on to the next. I'm going to share with you success stories. Now, you'll see a whole list of successful people that I've interviewed over the years, that I've worked with, and I'm going to briefly go through each of these individuals and share with you how they focused on their one thing in life to make a name for themselves, to become successful, maybe to find inner peace, to create great incomes. And I want you to know that you can do the same thing these individuals have done. As a matter of fact, if you look down this list, you'll also see that I put some of my clients in that sheet that's right in front of you now. If you want, jot a few notes down next to each name as I go through, so you can see how powerful the one thing theory really is. All of these people have used it. All of these people have used it to one degree or another. So let's start at the top, Deepak Chopra. So I've had a chance to interview Deepak, gosh, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 times. Every time on the show, the guy's amazing. But where was Deepak earlier in life? Deepak was a physician. Deepak, he'll even tell you himself, he had some addictions he had to work through. He was working 80+ hours a week. He was driving himself insane until he found his one thing. His one thing is helping to teach people how to bridge Eastern and Western philosophy, how to bridge the East and the West, the ancient traditions of Asia with the wisdom of America, in order to deepen their spiritual path and radically change their lives. That's Deepak. That's his one thing. When he got highly focused in life, his career, his purpose for being here totally took off with him. An awesome story. Wayne Dyer, next on your list, another individual that ended up focusing so strongly on this one principle. There's a spiritual solution for every problem. That's what Wayne Dyer is known for. Wayne Dyer is known for taking, and he also does mend and blend the East and the West, but his whole thing is that no matter what you're going through in life, you can manifest a different existence. Manifest simply means create. You can create a different existence if you focus on the power of your spiritual path. Susie Orman, number 3. Susie Orman, oh my Lord, a financial planner, was doing great in life until she focused on the one thing. Do you know what her one thing initially was? It was forgiving an office manager who had embezzled all of her money. Isn't that amazing? Like, we think of Susie Orman today as being the financial guru, which she is. Radio, TV, that's her one thing now, right? But in order for her to do what she's doing today, her one thing initially, and I've interviewed all these people, as I've mentioned many times, when I had Susie on the air with me on my radio show, and I asked her what was the thing that really broke her career open, isn't that fascinating? The thing that broke her career open was to forgive someone that had stolen all of her money. What is it for you, do you think? What do you think the one thing that you've denied, delayed, procrastinated? What's the one thing that you haven't wanted to take care of? What's that one thing? Because that's where we're going to rock your world, baby. That's where we're going to help you create the life you've always wanted. Arielle Ford, oh my Lord, Arielle Ford. Arielle Ford's a friend of mine, an amazing publicist. For years was with the publicist to the stars in Los Angeles. Then she started to look at the whole concept of love relationships, soulmates, and she went from someone that booked all these people on my show to being the star herself. She is an amazing author, amazing speaker, a phenomenal guest. I've had her on my shows before too. She's awesome. But her life, in my opinion, my humble opinion, totally rocked when she got so focused that she became the focus of her life. That her stories about love, how she changed in a love relationship, that became the focus that has helped millions of people around the world shift their focus on love too. An amazing story. Mark Victor Hansen, oh my gosh, you know him, Chicken Soup for the Soul. His life was radically changed when he and his partner, Jack Canfield, ended up deciding to focus on their one thing. What was their one thing? It was choosing to create a whole series of books based on success stories of other people. Now, they did something very different, and that's why they became so successful. Instead of just writing a book that the 10 secrets to success and the 10 secrets of saving your relationship and the 10 blah, 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 blahs, they busted the mold. In the early 90s, when they came out with Chicken Soup for the Soul, 101 stories on fill in the blank. There's like 100 different Chicken Soup for the Soul books now. But their focus was books only filled with stories. See, that was their one thing. That's what separated them from all the other authors of the day, is because they focused on their one thing. Is this making sense? Is this making sense to you, how all these people that have been successful, they didn't go after multiple goals anymore. They stopped trying to please everyone. They stopped trying to please all their own internal desires. They went after the one that would demand of them the greatest effort. What is it to you? What is it to you? What's the one goal that would rock your world but would demand the most effort? That's what we're working up to here. JJ Virgin, another, I get so excited. Can you tell that? I get so excited about talking about these successful people that I know because they've all focused on one thing. JJ Virgin has focused on one thing for years, and her focus is even becoming more laser-like now. But it's all about fitness, it's all about health. Well, she went from exciting people to get in shape because her arms were so gorgeous that her first book was all about from sleeveless to sexy is the name of her first book. But now she's going into diet big time. As most bodybuilders will tell you, when you want to change your physique, 70% of the changes, once you're in a regular exercise program, 70% of the changes are going to come from focusing on diet. Mind-blowing, right? JJ has figured this out. Her new book, which is going to rock this world, is about removing certain whole food groups that might be holding you back from having the health, the energy, and the body you want. That's what I'm talking about, getting very, very focused. Brenda Venus, next on here. Oh my gosh. Brenda Venus is a friend of mine who we've had on the show multiple times as well. A Playboy playmate who focuses now on one thing alone. It's still in the world of intimacy, it's still in the world of sexuality and all that, but her whole thing is helping men understand women from an erotic point of view, women understanding men from a sexual point of view, and she does it with a lot of class. But her one thing, instead of doing all these different things that she was doing for years, she's focused on that alone. Whenever she's on the show, she blows everyone's mind. She's so good at that one thing, helping people to be vulnerable, to take those risks with their partner to create the deep love they've always wanted. She's amazing. Tracy, well, let me go into some of my clients now. Tracy came to me a number of years ago. Her life an absolute mess. Struggling with her marriage. She had 3 kids. She was working. No time for herself. And she needed to lose 80 pounds at least. So when we came in, I started saying to her, we got to focus on this one thing. We got to focus on you. Think about this. Tracy had never focused on herself. And that's what a lot of moms do, right? A lot of moms, all the focus is on other people. I got to take care of the kids. I have to take care of my husband. I have to take care of my husband's 7th cousin. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone else in the world is more important than you. Tracy focused on herself in 8 weeks, 2 months. Her mind was changing, her body was changing. In 90 days, she was a different woman. Now in 90 days, actually, she had lost over 35 or 40 pounds. And now, right now, it's over 80 pounds. And it's been, I'm going to guess, 3 or 4 years now, she's kept it off. Why? It's not selfish. It's not self-centered. Her one thing was taking care of herself. Maybe that's what your one thing is. You know, if you're a people pleaser, if you're, and I hate to use these words, but they're really true. If you're codependent, if you always have to have other people's approval, if you're afraid of someone rejecting you because you're taking an hour for yourself every day at the gym, if you're afraid of your family freaking out because mom's not eating gluten anymore, mom's only eating healthy foods, you know, or dad's only eating healthy foods, and you're afraid, that's a sign of codependency. Maybe your one thing is finally sticking up for yourself and doing what's important for you. Could very well be. Next on the list, oh my gosh, Lynn. Lynn came into my office a number of years ago. She wanted to blame her husband for the failure in her marriage. And so she sat there for 4 weeks. Lynn would tell you the story today. She sat there for 4 weeks, every week coming in saying, well, aren't you going to agree with me? Isn't he a goofball? Shouldn't I leave him after he's done this and that and this and that? You know what Lynn's one thing is that totally rocked her world, that saved her marriage? Was that she started looking at what her role was in the demise of her marriage. And after week 4, when we got to week 8, and then when we got to 90 days, Lynn was an altered person, and she'll be the first to tell that today. Within that period of time, she started, instead of blaming her husband for everything, saying, what was I doing? Her one thing was to take responsibility for a failing marriage. Today, they rock it. They've got the greatest love affair going. She's a master life coach. She's a healer. She does all of this work that came from finding her one thing. Angela doubled her income in 90 days. Now, this is a great story. Angela came to me a number of years ago, Seattle, Washington. I got this email one time saying, I really need your help. I want to hire you as a coach. And we talked on the phone several times, first couple sessions. I always ask people, what is your one thing? What do you think it is? Hers was organization. I said, really? I said, getting more organized is going to radically change your life? No, I don't mean to laugh too hard, because sometimes maybe that will be. Maybe that's yours. Maybe it's organization. But I had a feeling it wasn't. As we worked harder and harder on the system that you're going to go through in just a little while, Angela found out that the number one thing that would radically change her life was making more money. She was struggling so hard. She did not have a college degree. She was working in the bottom tier of a banking system. She was not happy. Very gifted, very talented, but not tapping into any of it. In 90 days, now check this out, ladies and gentlemen, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day. Now this is where I'm telling you, it's up to you. How much do you want to achieve? How much more successful do you want to be? 90 days, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. To the day we started, Angela got a job offer at double her income. But it gets better. And you know what? You can see these endorsements on my site, and you can go contact these people and find out. They'll tell you that these are all true stories. The one thing that will radically change your life is an amazing process. And I'm not just telling you that for me. This is why I'm going through all these lists of people. I want you to know that this can happen to you. On the 90th day, I'm in New York City speaking at a conference, and I get this a voicemail, and I come out and listen to it, and it's Angela from Seattle going, oh my God, David, you're not going to believe it. I got a double my income. I just got an offer for double my income. This is working. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. I need to talk to you. Well, I wasn't able to get back to her for several hours. When I called her back, sit down if you're not sitting. She had just gotten another offer at more than double her income. And the next day, she got another offer at more than double her income. Now she was stressed because she didn't know what position to take. These are true stories, and the same thing can happen to you. But you have to remember this. You have to be willing to work. You have to do your part of the equation. We're going to give you the system. We're going to show you how to do it, and then you have to put in the effort. Kathy Smith. Oh my gosh, I met Kathy Smith in the 80s. Kathy Smith is an individual that came from losing her parents in her teens, struggling with alcohol, drug addictions, and she even mentioned on our XM radio show that she struggled with sexual addictions. There was all kinds of stuff that she was having a hard time with. Kathy Smith got so focused on her world of fitness. To this day, she has sold over $500 million in DVDs, exercise equipment, and more. And she did it by doing one thing really well, and that's getting people excited about getting into shape. Harv Eker, we just recently had Harv Eker on my radio show, and I was talking to him. Of course, you know him as the author of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, right? And I asked him, what is the secret of the millionaire mind? I'm thinking there's got to be some kind of cue that most of us don't know. There's got to be something they're doing that no one else is doing. And Harv Eker said, David, it is so simple. People come up with all kinds of excuses why they don't deserve to make $1 million a year, or they don't have the gifts, or they don't have the talents. And he said, you know, there's something to say about gifts and talents and all that, but more importantly, it's a belief system that we are worthy of making that type of money, and then the willingness to do the work it takes. He said, I've never met, of all the millionaires he's interviewed, he's never met one that didn't work their tail off. The biggest block to most people making the money they want to make is that they're not willing to do the work. Harv Eker is such a millionaire, multi-millionaire, and he lost it all, he got it back, he lost it all, he got it back, and now he's in for good because he's figured out this one thing. Joe Cerulli, next on your list. Joe Cerulli is my mentor. Joe was homeless. Looking 35, 40 years ago, Joe was homeless. He lived in his car for a number of months. He lived in an abandoned building for a number of months until he found his one thing. His one thing, when he read a book, The Power of Positive Thinking, and then Think and Grow Rich, the one thing that radically changed Joe's life forever was writing down the goals he wanted to accomplish, reading them every morning, right when he got up, reading them every afternoon, right before he went to bed. That was his one thing. He'll say that. Now, did he do the action steps in between? Did he go and find a job and work his tail off? Yes. But he truly believes the one thing was being organized on paper, just like we're doing with you right now. Lisa, another client of mine, Lisa, 13 years as an addict, turned over her children to family members because the addiction was much more powerful than wanting to be a mom. Lived on the street, sold her body for sex in order to get her highs. Many times traded sex just to get high. Was a needle user, heroin addict, alcoholic, oxycodone, roxycodone. She was like to the wall an addict. Tried multiple different ways to get clean until she found her one thing was to devote her life to sobriety. Now, sometimes you might go, isn't that a little self-centered? I mean, she's got 2 kids living with family members, and she devoted her life. When I met her, she was just out of a treatment center. And when our very first day of working together, I told her the only thing, the one thing in her life was her recovery. That was it. She was going to have to give up getting her kids back right now. She was going to have to give up any other dream in life. Even being fully employed, she had to give it all up for her one thing. And that is to devote 90 straight days to her recovery program. Here's something fascinating. Today, on this very day, she starts her new position as a medical professional after passing boards. She's sober, she's clean, she just passed her boards, and in a very short period of time, she'll have her children back. I'm getting chills right now. I hope you are too. That's the power of the one thing. When you put everything else out of your life, and focus on the most important thing, the thing you've denied, delayed, procrastinated, and you go after it with the passion and the abandon that we're talking about, your life will be just like all these people I'm reading through. It can happen to anyone. Joy, oh my Lord, another client of mine. I was working with her one day. She was taking one of my life coaching courses, and I asked her to stand up and to give a 60-second presentation of why she was in the class. And I thought she was going to take out a knife and stab me. Do you know how some people are like that when it comes to public speaking? It's like, I got these eyes going, no. And then she eventually said, no, I'm not going to do it. And I coaxed her and coaxed her and coaxed her. At the end of that course, the one thing that's radically changed her life forever is being able to present in public. She's now gone on to become a relationship coach, a relationship author. She leads seminars. Her one thing was to learn how to publicly present, how to be a public speaker. Isn't that rock? I've got so many more stories I want to take you through. David, an 18-year-old kid. I worked with this kid. He went through one of my other life coaching courses, 18-year-old kid. We found his one thing was to become a professional surfer. This is about 8 months ago, ladies and gentlemen. Against all odds, he's in Hawaii right now training to become a professional surfer. Isn't that amazing? See, all these stories, I'm going to keep sharing these with you because it's proving the point. When you get focused, 18 years old, and before I met him, it was kind of like, well, I'd like to become a professional surfer. But he got so excited taking the course, and then he set out a guideline and an outline of what were the steps that I'd have to take. He's there now, living his dream. Howard recovered from being an extreme alcoholic, 30 years of an extreme alcoholic, drinking every day of his life for 30 years. He went through the One Thing program. He's recovered, and now I think 2 to 3 years he has not had a drink. His life is radically changed, and now he's helping others to get sober too. It's an incredibly beautiful experience. Crystal and Tom recovered from an affair. The one thing with them was to put all of their effort and energy into falling in love again. That was it. Now you might say, wow, that's all they had to do. Yeah, well, I mean, falling in love again means letting go of resentments at your partner, taking responsibility for what was my role in the affair, things that we don't want to do, right? But I just had Crystal on the radio show not too long ago, and she said at the end of it, it is the best thing that ever happened to their marriage. They're more in love now than they've ever been. They've been together 21 years. The affair happened at around the 16-year mark. Ever since they walked out of the office, all you see is the deepest love that you could ever imagine. So I wanted to go through some of these stories, some of these examples of people that have taken the course that I've worked with, that I've interviewed, that all believe in the one thing theory. Instead of going after multiple goals and getting confused and getting lost, it's all about getting focused. So now let's move on. Let's move on. Human nature. I'm going to give you a definition of human nature. Human nature is what holds us back from accomplishing our goals in life. If there's anything that everyone is affected by, it's human nature. Here's the definition. Human nature states that we want the most out of life with minimal effort. Go ahead and write that down. Human nature equals that we want the most out of life with minimal effort. Think about that. It's pretty true, isn't it? Why do you think the lottery is so popular? People want the most out of life with minimal effort. Why is 60 to 70% of our population overweight or obese? We want the most out of life with minimal effort. Why are so many people looking at the infomercials as the way to lose weight, make quick money? The list goes on and on and on, right? Why are they so popular? People want to find the easiest path in life. We don't want to do the work. Human nature is the reason behind that. Do you know, and I tell this story in detail in my coursework, that until potty training, this is the truth, we have life by the tail, you know? I mean, we can be being strolled down the mall and decide to go to the bathroom like that, right? It's like we get the most out of life with minimal effort. You know, if we cry a certain way, we get held, right? I mean, I know there's abusive relationships in families. I'm not talking about that. But whatever we want, we get. And then the big, and psychologists will tell you too, this is that a child, some children, when they go through potty training, they have a really hard time. And we know through research that at the end of that there's certain areas of life they can struggle in, about being in control. And there's a whole different coursework that we do on that subject. But human nature states that we want the most out of life with minimal effort. The one thing theory course that you're taking right now, unfortunately or fortunately, says just the opposite. We say, what do you want? Once you figure out what it is that you want, what's the one thing that you really want to go after, we know you have to put the effort in, and your life, just like Joe Cerulli, Kathy Smith, J.J. Virgin, all these people that I've shared with you, Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, all these people, and plus my clients, they've understood that you have to put the effort out to get the end result you want, and it's worth it. If you look down next on your list, you'll see human success. Well, if we know what the definition of human nature is, our desire to get the most out of life with minimal effort, the opposite is what this course is all about. Human success. And then here's the definition I want you to write down for human success. Human success states that our greatest rewards in life, with changing our body, getting sober, making more money, finding the love of your life, getting closer to God, the greatest rewards in life will come from continuous daily, structured effort. That's the answer for success. It always has been. It always will be. Now, there's a lot of books and CDs out in the market that are trying to get us to believe that we can manifest anything we want with minimal effort. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you today, I've interviewed the masters of the world. I've interviewed people from all walks of life that are successful, and I have yet to meet anyone that has mastered life, that has lost weight for good, that has done anything that has a powerful impact on this world that didn't demand daily, consistent effort. The one thing theory states that at any given time in life, there's only one goal to go after. It's the goal that we've denied, delayed, procrastinated, right? It's the goal that we may not necessarily want to do. But once we attack it, once we decide 5 days a week, 20 minutes to 2 hours a day, for 90 straight days, our life will change. And that's what human success is all about. Okay, are you thinking about yourself right now? I want you to sort of like look around the room, sort of get relaxed and think, what is the one thing for me? What's the one goal that's going to radically change my life? Another way to look at it is like, what is the anchor that's been holding us back? What has been holding us back in life? What have we not wanted to admit? What have we not wanted to deal with? In just a little bit, we're going to get to finding out what your one thing is. As we move through this program, though, you'll notice that writing is a key component of everything we're doing. So let's look at the next. Why is writing so powerful? Why is writing so crucial? And I'm going to give you the answer here to write down. So let's take a look at this. When we write down our goals and we write down the steps we need to take to accomplish our goals, it slows us down. So number one, writing slows us down. Number two, as writing slows us down, it allows the answers from within to come to the surface. Your intuition becomes much sharper when you're doing your writing exercises. Number three, writing holds us accountable. So when you write out what steps you're going to take on a daily basis, in writing, now it's accountable. Now you have something you can look back at and go, oh, that's right, I committed to this program to do this 5 days a week from this time to that time. So now we have a record of it. The next thing I want you to write down is writing allows us to make changes when necessary. So if you write down certain goals, certain steps to take to accomplish a goal, and it's not happening, you can redirect and go, okay, I've tried these steps and it didn't work before, so let me do something different, right? Next, writing allows you to become vulnerable. You know, in one of my books, Slow Down, we have all kinds of writing exercises, and the people that take that book seriously, they become vulnerable. When they write down what are their strengths, what are their challenges, who do they have resentments against, they're becoming more vulnerable. The more vulnerable we are in life, the faster we will change. So those are just some of the keys that we talk about when it comes to writing. And I want you to take that very seriously because this is all part of becoming more successful in life. Then the next one, what are the various ways to write? When you're writing in here, I'm serious, if it's just bullet points, that's fine. Some people, when they find their one thing and they start doing they do writing letters to God, they write letters to people to forgive them, they write letters to forgive themselves. So number one is bullet points. Number two is writing letters to others. You know, that's a great way to express emotion. Number three is journaling, but I'm going to give you a little caveat with journaling. I think it's great. At the end of every day, write down, you know, here's things that went well, here's things that I wasn't happy with, but always journal in a balanced way. And what I mean is that I wouldn't want people journaling all about the crap in life. You know, I got hurt again today, these people don't like me, my boyfriend did this, my wife did this, blah, 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 blah. If it's all negative, we become what we focus on. So make sure you're doing some balanced journaling. Some people express themselves through art. I've worked with people that they found their one thing and it happened to be about forgiveness. And they had to do expressions through art to help them get clear, to help them get focused. So however you write, it really doesn't matter. The most important thing is to write. And when we get to doing the one thing and you set up the program of what you're going to do Monday through Friday, it's crucial that it's in your daily calendar. If you use an iPhone, if you have a daily planner, you're going to have to write every single thing down. I'll take you through that in a couple minutes. But it has to be focused and it has to be in the written world. Do not trust your brain. Don't trust your brain to remember to do tasks, to remember the time of day you're going to make these goals or these steps. Don't trust your brain. Put everything in writing. Okay? Now, let me tell you the story. We're going to get into the one thing theory here. Let me tell you the story of how the one thing came into existence and how it's affected me in my life and where we are today because of it. In 1996, I was hosting our nationally syndicated radio show, David Essel Live. At that time, we were with Westwood One. Now we're with XM Satellite Radio. And I had an opportunity to interview one of the greatest masters of our time. He's no longer with us, but he's absolutely one of the most stunning individuals I've ever interviewed. His name, and it's a tricky tongue twister, is Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was the founder of Transcendental Meditation. Now, years before I had a chance to interview Maharishi, I had taken his course on Transcendental Meditation, and from that day to today, I meditate through TM every day. Transcendental Meditation is the only form of meditation today that has gone through so many double-blind, placebo-controlled studies to show the power of it in reducing alcoholism, reducing recidivism in prison. That means return to prison rate, actually increasing bone density amongst women. Isn't that wild? Women who do TM twice a day, their immune system is functioning at such a high level that there's a decrease in losing bone density, which of course is osteoporosis. There's so many different studies about decreasing stress from a spiritual perspective, opening our heart and our mind to be closer to the Creator. Maybe that's going to be God to you or higher power. So there's millions and millions of studies on TM. I had the opportunity to interview Maharishi, and it was obviously life-changing. I would not be doing this video program right now, would not be doing this online course, I would not be doing a lot that I'm doing in life right now if it wasn't for the Maharishi interview. Through the whole hour interview, I was blown away with his joy. Every question I asked him, now he was a tiny little Indian guy, and every question I asked him, he would go, "Oh, David, that is so funny." And every time I would be sitting in the studio listening to him respond to me, I would be laughing so hard. At the end of 1 hour, he was in Holland, I was in the United States. At the end of a 1 hour interview, I got off the phone with him, immediately said to my producer, "What'd you think?" And he said, "This guy is filled with joy. He has the joy of a child." I walked away from that interview totally altered, just from the perspective that someone who had made this many changes in the world through his work with Transcendental Meditation could be that light on his feet, light of spirit, light of joy. As a matter of fact, the Beatles, you probably know this story, ended up taking Transcendental Meditation across the world with their tours promoting it. Not too long ago, Paul McCartney actually did another concert in Central Park, a free concert, because he still believes so strongly in TM to promote Transcendental Meditation. A number of weeks later, I was speaking at a conference in Orlando, and a woman came up to me afterwards and asked if she could talk to me for a few minutes, and she said, "Hey, David, I heard the interview you did with Maharishi, and I just wanted to know, do you have any questions about it?" And I looked at her and I said, "Well, that's a surprising question. Why do you ask?" And she said, "Well, I've been with Maharishi for 36 of the 40 years that he's been promoting TM. I'm very close confidant with him. And when I knew you were going to be at this conference, I just had to ask this question. Do you have any questions regarding the interview?" And I said, "You know, the strangest thing in the world is I don't remember anything about the interview with Maharishi except for the joy that he showed me." And I said, when I'm interviewing all these other experts, I can walk away and go, "Oh yeah, when I was interviewing with Deepak, I remember the 4 things of this," or Wayne Dyer, the 7 things of this, or Susie Orman, the 3 things of this, you know, the points, the keys. I said, I don't remember anything about Maharishi interview except for the fact that he was so joyful. And she looked at me and she said, "You may not believe this, but that's because you have very little joy in your life." And I was taken aback, and I thought, who is this chick? You know, like, I don't even know her, and she's what, reading my life? And I said, "You know, I have to disagree with you. I host this syndicated radio show. I live on the beach. I have a new car. Blah blah blah." Right? She said, "I'm just telling you the truth. Anytime you're with a master like that, you will only walk away with one thing. We've sat at his feet for 8 hours." 4 or 5 or 6 of us. When he's done speaking, we'll all get together and we'll ask, you know, "What did you remember?" And everyone will only remember one thing, and it was the thing in their life that they needed to change. Well, I didn't buy into it right away. I'm going to be honest with you. We sat there and talking, and we didn't argue. I didn't argue with her, but I just knew in my mind that that couldn't be true. But I said, "Okay, well, I'll let her win this," and I went home. A couple weeks later, I woke up one day saying, "Oh my Lord, it was true." The amount of joy that I had in my life, regardless of how much I loved where I lived and how much I loved doing the radio show and everything else, was totally covered up by multiple addictions. I was chasing my tail. I was so addicted to my binge cocaine use, to alcohol, that I did not feel the joy. I was a workaholic. There was no room in my life for anything other than work and addiction, work and addiction, work and addiction. Now, I could tell you that I absolutely loved my work, and I did. I could tell you I loved the show, I loved coaching people back then. All that is true. But the joy, I mean the heartfelt joy, the inner peace, was totally destroyed by my daily addictions. When that awareness came to me, I immediately went and got help with my cocaine addiction and let it go. And that was the first step of me seeing the power of the one thing theory. From that day forward, ladies and gentlemen, I totally lost all interest in doing any other type of goal setting other than the one thing theory, other than the course that you are taking right now. Because this is what I found. The anchor to my life was my addiction. Until I got rid of that addiction, I could not experience joy. I could not experience inner peace. I could not experience deep love. I could not experience all these things I wanted to experience until I found my one thing, the thing I had denied, delayed, procrastinated on. Do you see what I'm saying? This is the path to freedom. The course you're on right now, I promise you, is the path to freedom. It's the path to love. It's the path to weight loss. It's a path to money. It's a path to whatever the heck you want. But we've got to find the anchor and take it out of our life. You know, in the Kabbalah, in the teachings of Kabbalah, they say the same thing. The mystical arm of Judaism, they say the same thing. Is that there's something within you that's blocking light, blocking God from coming in right now. It might be a resentment. It might be your weight. It might be an addiction. It might be insecurity. It may be lack of self-love. When you find that thing that is blocking you from experiencing joy and inner peace, it might be money like it was with Angela. When you find that one thing and go after it with abandon and go after it in a focused, organized way, and you remove that one thing from your life, just like when I removed cocaine. Ladies and gentlemen, when I got out of that spiral, I had been utilizing cocaine as an escape from life, an escape from pain, an escape from dealing with insecurities and everything else in my life. When I removed that, my life instantly improved. I mean instantly. All of a sudden I found myself not hanging around with the same people. Well, when you do that, your life is going to improve. I wasn't dependent anymore to make my highs in life higher or to try to cover up my lows by trying to manufacture a high, which is what any and all addictions do. I don't care if it's nicotine, alcohol, cocaine, food, sex. I don't care if it's greed. I don't care if it's gambling. I don't care what it is. If you're watching this right now and you're listening to this story, I want you to evaluate, is my one thing an addiction? Could it be codependency? Do I so crave to be accepted by others? Do I so fear to be rejected by others? Do I so crave and fear that same thing? Do I need other people to like me? Am I afraid of other people pushing me away? Maybe that's your one thing. Because as we eliminate the one thing in our lives, the program you're taking right now, everything else will start to get better. It happened with Maharishi. After that, and I changed my life, I started looking at my clients differently. You know, when I write books, I do the same thing. We have 6 books out now. Do you know, every time I write, the only thing that I focus on, I still do sessions and all that other kind of stuff with my clients, but the one thing I'm going to focus on is completing the book. I'm not going to get involved with trying to do 6 or 7 projects at a time. I'm not going to do like our video course here. I wouldn't do this video course while I'm writing a book because it isn't going to be clear and focused. I'm not going to be determined. Right now, in doing this course, we have spent the last multiple weeks getting everything lined up. We did the 3 training videos. That was the one thing. And then we did the manual for the course. That was my next one thing. And now we're doing this video for you. So you have something to follow. Since 1996 to today, everything in my life has been focused on the one thing. At any given time, I say, where is the one thing in my life that I have denied, delayed, and procrastinated that will help free me to get to the next level? For some people, it's learning how to meditate. For someone else, it's learning how to budget their money. For someone else, it's forgiving. As I mentioned many times before already on this program, it's forgiving others. So we are going to take you through this journey. We're going to take you in the next video, we're going to take you through the definition for the one thing. We're going to take you through how to find it. And then we're going to take you through how to set up your process to be so successful in life that at the end of 90 days, you shake your head and I say, I can't believe for pennies that we paid for this course that my life is altered to the degree it is. And I guarantee it will. We are so excited that you've chosen to take the time to be with us right now. Now, the next video that you receive, that you get, you can watch at your leisure. And remember, if you want to go back over this one again, you can watch it as many times as you want. Take the time right now, even if you just want to take a 10-minute break before you go on to the next video, take the time right now to review everything you've written in this manual, to go over it, to get clear, to get focused. Reread the success stories, okay, of the people I've talked about, the celebrities I've interviewed and worked with, the clients I've interviewed and worked with. Get clear and see that they're no different than you. You can have the same success that they've had if you focus on the one thing that will radically change your life forever. If you ever want to contact me, go to talkdavid.com, and on that homepage you'll see a little contact us icon. Hit it, send me an email. I want to hear how you're doing. If you hit a stumbling block, let me know. I doubt you will. But if you do, we'll listen to that absolutely, and I'll help you the most I can. Success stories, heck yeah, share them, because you know the more we share our success with the world, the more other people will become inspired to do the same thing. I'm so glad you're with us. We will return and continue momentarily.